And there was another thing that came up was that there was no orgs. And actually there is an outlet, Trey talked about that, he knows more about this group. There is a group in Asia, it has about, what, 35 staff or something?
No, they have 130 staff in Taiwan.
Wow. Yeah, come on up here, Trey. Trey, there's your next speaker, let's welcome him and talk about it.
Well, I can tell you a little bit about Helen's group, Helen Chen, quite a remarkable woman. She was going to Berkeley School of Music and was a senior there studying piano, and she and her friend found out about Scientology. Now at that time, she really, other than music, she hardly spoke any English. And she and her friend got interested in Scientology, and she learned how to speak English, how to read English. She studied the tech, and it took her 8 years to go from that point to a full OTA, and also an OEC grad. So quite dedicated. And she and her husband came to my, came to talk to me about 2 years ago. Said they were really had enough, because they were like the top FSMs. They were in India. They were always like power FSMs every year. They started every group in Taiwan that exists today. They started there, and so I, talked to them for a while. And then they left the church, and I was auditing Helen. I audited her on all 3 Ls, and about 10 years ago, she started a group there in Taiwan. It was an FSM group, but they were still in the church. When they decided to leave, she gave everybody a choice. They could stay with her, or they could, stay with the church. And at that time, the way she had the whole thing set up was she had her group in Taiwan, and she had a little a house that she owned a couple blocks from the complex there in Los Angeles, because they lived in LA, so they would have 15, 17, 20 people all the time cycling through on course over at the LA Org or Celebrity Center. And once they made this decision, in one day, 17 people walked out of the LA Org, and they went back to their house that they were all living in, and they just rolled up their sleeping bags, got some tables, and started an academy. And they've done a fantastic job. These guys are really hardworking. Her group in Taiwan is 130 staff. 130 staff. And she actually charges more than the orgs for the training. The reason why is because she actually pays people. People make a living wage. In 10 years, she's only lost 9 staff members. And people have families, they have children, they have their own apartments, and everybody's winning. There's a tremendous amount of, she wants everybody by the end of this year to be clear. And everybody gets trained up to class 4. They're delivering OT levels now. Anyway, remarkable job. She's written 12 books in Taiwan. One's been translated into English. And she's known as a matchmaker there. So she's on radio and TV all the time. And now she's gone over into mainland China and has been being interviewed in Shanghai. Anyway, just quite a remarkable story. So it shows it can be done. Her goal is to create a true group. And when you meet these people and you talk with them, and there's so much mutual help, mutual loyalty, and so much ARC, and everybody is really surviving well. That really shows that, well, we all knew we could get some kind of case game from Scientology, but I don't know if there's anybody who really ever thought that we could get an ideal group. Yeah, I mean, there was just too much counter experience to that. And of course, a lot of the missions back in the 70s really were pretty much an ideal scene for most people that ever got into Scientology. That's where they really got into ARC with the tech. They saw, the workability of, usually there's one OT or a couple that was running the group, and their ARC was good, their tech was good. It wasn't a lot of stress or pressure, and people could really enjoy the tech and enjoy the wins. But, you know, when you start to get more than 5, 6 staff, you know, you get up to 20, 30, 40 staff, 50 staff, but it becomes much, much harder. But anyway, it shows that an OT can produce a group where the ideals of Scientology can be achieved, not only on the first dynamic, but on the third dynamic as well. It's quite satisfying. You can look up some of her, she made a videotape of her success story that she gave after finishing her L10. So.